What up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with you on the Military Radio Podcast with another episode of the Species Spotlight, in which I go and take you through a journey of the tarantula keeping hobby, where currently I have 17 different species of tarantulas. One actually back here is my skeleton leg, and then, of course, up there is my pink toe, and then onto the other side of me here is a bunch of my other ones. But today, I will be talking about the, what do you call it? The Pterinochilus Murinus, which is also known as the Orange Baboon Tarantula, aka the orange bitey thing, the Ptera, the Sambara baboon. The tarantula itself is an old world. I have 4 old world species right now, with the OPT being one of them. They're basically out of Kenya, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Congo. They don't kick hairs like your New World species, but they are very defensive, as you can see, very feisty, and they do hold significant venom. Now, as I've stated before, there's never been a recorded death from a bite from a tarantula, old world, or anything. Now, as you can see with the baboon here, it will sometimes stay in this defensive posture for a time being, because it's just that way. The one I have is a young juvie, and they literally will put themselves on their back like this. They are very defensive to the point that they will slap at you. Like you can see, it's just kind of reaching out. Now, generally, they will try to retreat more than anything, rather than try to get you. But people who actually own the species, like myself, have said that some of them within enclosures just walk by and the baboon will rear up in a defensive posture. So it tells me that their eyesight's better than most. But at the same time, again, like, this isn't for beginners. This is a type of spider that you would have to really be an intermediate to expert with. Like I said, even though you won't die from it, unless, of course, I think the only alternative to that would be if you were allergic to bee stings and stuff like that. Like that, to me, I think would be the only reason why somebody would really fall to deeply ill or even death. And you can see even a juvie here is unafraid of anything. It's just, that's how they are. They don't fear much. And so, but they're really kind of the best kind of tarantula I have in terms of their coloration. And, they're just fun spiders in terms of their aggressive eating habits. But they can be scary if you don't know what you're doing. And so, like, some of this footage here is not something you really want to do in terms of dealing with this type of species, because, like, it could crawl right up that brush there. I highly recommend anybody dealing with any spiders watch Dave's Little Beasties, because he shows you kind of the proper way to deal with them. I know people say, well, everyone has their own way, but this to me is more of an antagonizing type of way of dealing with these spiders, which is not good. It's not that even trying to get them out there patiently wouldn't have it rear up on you, because it would happen anyway. But at the same time, you do want to try to be as calm and gentle with them as possible. So, playing with your brush on top of a spider that's easily defensive is not a good idea. And like I said, that one of those spiders could easily ran up that brush and bit him, and he'd be being a pretty sick boy. So anyway, but I'm going to give you another video here where Tarantula Collective, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the species and its behavior. But first, I'll show you, before I get into that, my particular spider, who I've named a Nancy, which I try to keep my spider names either close to spider lore or spider names that I've seen in it, or just names that I think are very cool. In this case, my OBT is named Nancy, which is based upon Akan folklore, which basically kind of means knowledge, trickery, wisdom, wit, which a lot of times Anansi kind of takes its form of a spider, which through the myth and legends and folklore like that. So kind of basically how I came up with that name for this particular spider. But sometimes I don't reuse names. So even when I had my female OBT that passed, had a whole different name for her. But and Nancy's the one I got to GV right now. I don't have any video footage myself because again, I could try to go and bother her in her den, which she's been locked away for a little while now. So she could be trying to molt or just doesn't want to be bothered. So the last time I checked on her a few weeks back, she was very unhappy about that. So, again, don't want to intentionally antagonize a spider, especially one that's kind of defensive like that. But I just wanted to make sure she was okay, and she was. So I left her at that, and she's just kind of doing her thing. I still put in some crickets for her if she eats them or not, whatever. But yeah, just it's all about just being calm with them, being careful, and being respectful of the creatures that you're dealing with, especially as you get into old world species where their venom is a little bit more potent. I have 3 other old worlds as well. I have to be careful when dealing with them, whether they're spiderlings and to their adulthood. So you just got to be careful. So here is the tarantula collector talking a little bit about the OBT.
The time mine will refuse a meal is when it's in pre-molt. The OBT will make some beautiful web tunnels and is a fascinating specimen to observe, though they can be a little recluse and sometimes you won't see them for weeks. I would not recommend this species to beginners and would suggest new keepers get their experience from faster, new world terrestrials before taking on an OBT. And when you decide to get an OBT, I would suggest starting with a spiderling so that your experience will grow with a tarantula's size and you will be accustomed to its behavior by the time it is full grown. As with all tarantulas, their attitude or personality can be different from one to the next, and even from one molt to the next. So far, my adult female is much more relaxed than other OBTs that I have seen. My girl prefers to dive into the safety of her burrow and web tunnels before ever showing a threat pose. It may be because she has such an extensive series of web tunnels and places to hide that she doesn't feel the need to threaten me, or it could just be a more relaxed personality. But I am always cautious and mindful when dealing with her because I know that her personality could change at any time, and I do not want to risk her escaping or trying to bite me.
So there you have it. The Orange Baboon, beautiful, beautiful spider. Just it's not for beginners. And as always, I would go and recommend Dave's Little Beasties for information on care and housing as well as how to handle them. So when I say handle, not by hand. Some people do this. I've seen people in videos where they will let OBT crawl on them. That's at their own risk, obviously. Not to just them, but the spider. Should the spider fall, could shatter. But I never recommend handling tarantulas, even New Worlds, for a number of reasons. One, New Worlds like to kick hairs. Getting in your eyes can be very, very, very problematic. But their fangs, even though they're not as highly venomous as some of the other species out there, still would hurt like a motherfucker. Like you don't want that. And again, you don't want any injury to come to your spider. So I highly, highly tell people don't handle your spiders. Like take care of them, love them, but they don't have any emotional value. They don't attach to you in any way emotionally. So people might try to tell you they do, but they don't. That's impossible for a spider to do that. However, it's up to the owner, up to the keeper, how they want to handle their own spider. So if they get bit, that's on them. But highly recommend do not treat them with respect and be careful and take care of them and love them. And they're beautiful. Like I have 17 different species. I have 2 species down the road I'd like to get. One would be a Pokey Metallica. The other one would be a feather-legged baboon. But I don't know when I'm going to get those because, like I said, we're in transition of moving soon. So I'm going to be worried about moving my spiders at that point to the new place before I even think about getting any more. And then on top of that, as far as like the channel itself coming up, I'm going to be doing some kaiju specific shows for my Kaiju Unlimited series. And so be taking a kaiju from, each kaiju separately and whatever ones I choose to do, and choose some of the collaborators that I work with to one-on-one them with me. So each kaiju will have a different collaborator that I'm going to be doing an episode with. So my first one next Friday will be for Rodan, and I'll be doing it with Sci-Fi Century of the Sci-Fi Society. And we'll go over and discuss the legacy and the history of Rodan, and what that character is meant to the kaiju universe, the Godzilla universe, and so on. And then I'll be breaking down some other kaiju down the next couple 2 to 3 months, so different guests each time. So much thanks to those guys and gals that are going to participate in that with me. And then I will have some other shows in there. We got Ghouls of Midnight next Wednesday. Mr. Tony of the Dead will be doing 1981's Excalibur, which is my pick this time around. And then also Mr. Kevin Lambert will be joining me for earlier in the day to do the first 2 episodes of the series on Peacock called Hysteria. So be looking for that. And we'll see you next time on the Metal Time Radio podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.